Hello, everybody. This is the beginning of week two. And in week one, you should have posted your picture and bio on Canvas so that I and your classmates can get to know who you are. I really like knowing who my students are. Like if I bump into somebody on campus or around town, it's nice to know names. And I this semester, I think I have well over 1,500 students, and if I don't have names and pictures, it's difficult to distinguish. So I apologize. I know it's largely for me, but I really appreciate it, and you get points for it. So make sure you do that. You also should have checked in with me, and I know some of you've checked in late, but I haven't dropped anybody yet, but I'm about to. So if you haven't checked in, make sure you do so. And also in week one, you should have read the syllabus, checked out the schedule and some of the movies, and also looked at the filmmaking terms. But this week, we are getting started. We're watching movies and starting the discussion. So this week's film is Modern Times and by Charlie Chaplin, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. But I wanted to talk about the discussion board because for me, that's the largest part of this class. In it, we're going to talk about the 14 movies that we'll be watching this semester and also the genres. This class, American cinema, is kind of a survey of genres. And so that's a big part of the discussions. Okay, now I think our discussions in this class look or are the requirements are different than in some other classes. I'm not looking for you to write essays. I don't want that. That's not what I'm after. What I want to see is your thoughts, your opinions, your ideas about the movies and genres we'll be seeing this semester. The focus is your ideas. So I don't want you to do research. And I really don't want for you to use AI to help you write your comments. All you need to do is watch the movies and then give me your opinions about the films and the genres. And it can be anything. The acting, the cinematography, the first movie we're watching is in black and white. What do you think about that? It's a comedy, and I'm going to talk about the choice of that, but how's comedy evolved over the many years, the more than a century of the film industry? Anything at all. In filmmaking, there are tons of departments, and you can talk about any element, music, sound, acting. How are the actors different? And silent films versus modern day films, but different genres, etc. So you get to choose what you comment on, and I'm eager to see what you think, what your opinions are. So that's the first element, is to write your list of comments. Now, to get full credit, you need to write at least 3. Some students can do 5, 10, 15 more. And you can comment, expand upon your comments, and they can be longer. But I'm looking for a minimum of 3 comments about the films and genres. And then once you finish your comments or questions about the films, now you need to interact with your class. So you need to read what your classmates have written, their comments, and then react or respond to them. And you need to do a minimum of 3 of those. And what I'm trying to emulate is what happens in my face-to-face classes. We watch a movie together. Then afterwards, I turn on the lights and pose some questions, and we start talking. And in the classroom, the students get to hear what others are saying, and then they can respond to that. And we end up having a discussion. My favorite part about watching a movie is watching with others and then talking about it afterwards. And this is what I'm trying to do with the reactions. I'm trying to force you to hear what others think about the films and genres, and for you to react or respond to that. So 3 comments and then 3 reactions are the minimum to get the points required. So if I feel like you're using AI to write your reactions or your comments, I might reach out to you and say, I'm going to ask you some questions about the movie to make sure you've seen it. My goal is for you to watch all the movies and then, think about them. And if you're not doing that, then what are you getting? I mean, in a class where the goal is to watch movies, to have these experiences, if you're not watching them, then you're not getting anything out of the class. So it's very simple. I'm not going to be grading on spelling or punctuation, or you can have opinions that differ from my own. None of that matters. I just want to know what your thoughts are. So and even if you don't have a lot to say about a movie, you must have opinions about the genre. You've seen other comedies and maybe you don't like the genre. Maybe you don't think certain things are funny and other things are. You can talk about that. So when we watch a war film, maybe you don't like violence in film and you can talk about that. Or maybe whatever it is, you can comment on the genres in addition to the film. So that's kind of what I'm after. The discussions are due on Sunday at midnight, so you have a full week to watch the films and post your comments and then read and react to your classmates. So simple. 40 points per assignment. If I'm particularly impressed with what you say, I will often give you some additional points. So if you love a movie and have a lot to say about it, a whole lot of comments or really good reactions to your classmates' comments, if I'm happy or impressed, I tend to give you some more. But 40 points means you're meeting the requirement. Okay, let's talk about modern times and Charlie Chaplin. Years ago, when I took a similar class, my teacher, who was quite cruel, made us watch D.W. Griffith's Birth of a Nation. It was the very first film to gross more than $1 million. In fact, it was considered the first American feature film. It was over 2 hours long, and for me, it was a bit of torture. Now, I know D.W. Griffith was brilliant, but he was also an extremely racist person, and it came out in his films. He was a true Southerner, and The Birth of a Nation, had a film with white people in blackface, and the black characters were the villains, and it's awful. It's a terrible film. I mean, it's important because of a lot of things that it did to the industry. I mean, people had to see it because it was so controversial. And we've seen that type of thing in history, but I didn't enjoy watching it, and I'm sure you wouldn't either, and I'm not going to put that on you. In fact, we're only going to watch one silent film, and it's a requirement of the class, and so that's why I did it. And I actually showed Charlie Chaplin's last silent film, or that's the film that I've chosen for us to watch. There was in 1927, there was a film called The Jazz Singer that came out, and it's the very first talkie. A talkie is a film with sync sound where the sound matches the images on screen. And although a lot of people at the time thought it was just going to be a phase, something that would go away very quickly, it caught on. And within just a couple of years, all films were talkies, and silent films became a thing of the past. Well, Charlie Chaplin, who was the most famous and financially successful actor, filmmaker on the planet, fought it for a while. Modern Times was made in 1936, and by then the silent era was over. But it is a very interesting, funny film. I love Chaplin because he was kind of a Renaissance man and did it all. He wrote his screenplays. He directed his films. He starred in his films, did his own stunts. He edited his films. He scored his films, and did things that kind of no one else ever did. There were a few comedians, his contemporaries. I particularly like Buster Keaton, who was one of his biggest competitions, biggest rivals, and who Keaton also wrote, directed, starred in. and did all of his stunts and some very dangerous stunts. I think I share a clip on the class page with a bit of Buster Keaton's work. So if you want to talk about Chaplin and all that he did and compare him to Buster Keaton or any of the other silent comedians, that's a possible topic as well that you can comment on. But the film industry has certainly, or the comedy genre has certainly evolved over time. And then how so? I want to know what you think about that. Now that there's dialogue, how important is that? Has physical comedy changed, and how? So all things that you can think about, pay attention to. And the 1936, the production code was being enacted. So there's some very innocent things in modern times, like even though the tramp, Charlie Chaplin, and the woman, his love interest, are, well, in real life they got married and were together for more than a decade. They slept in separate. I mean, Chaplin, the tramp, slept outside in that little hut, and she slept inside, and they hugged and stuff, and they talked about a future of getting a home together and all of that. But really, it was very kind of tame compared to modern comedies. Think of some of the comedies that did really well, like I don't know. There's so many. I just don't. The Forgetting Sarah Marshall and The Hangover and others. Anyways, those are things you can talk about. I'm interested to hear what you say. This is the first discussion, and there will be one every single week, except for midterm week and finals week going forward. So lots of movies to watch and discuss. So please reach out to me if you have any comments or questions about the class or grading or any of that. I have a ton of grading to do every week. I'll try to stay caught up, but you can always reach out to me if you want to know, and I can give you immediate grades to any assignments that you're curious about. So anyways, thank you for watching. Reach out to me if you have any comments or questions, and I hope you like some of the movies.